Chapter 7, Jnana Vijnana Yoga, Wisdom Synthesis. Jnana means knowledge, Vijnana means applied knowledge, pure knowledge and applied knowledge. Chapter 6 was Dhyana Yoga, that is the personal yogic attitude or the yogic experience from a personal point of view, how a person practices yoga or meditation. Chapter 7 is more impersonal and deals with a more cosmic or an impersonal level of understanding. How do we distinguish jnana from vijnana? Tradition says if you have your consciousness directed towards self-knowledge, Brahma Vidya, that is called jnana. And if your consciousness is directed to things of this world like architecture, engineering, medicine, etc., that is vijnana, practical knowledge. So this chapter brings a synthesis of these two aspects of our knowledge. Pure knowledge, which leads to our self-realization, and practical knowledge, which we use in the world. The knowledge becomes specialized in one particular field. And jnana is not specialized, it's dealing with whole of life, philosophy of life, way of life. If we say what is life's goal, whether we realize it or not, consciously or unconsciously, we are all moving towards the Absolute. And so we should know what the Absolute is. What is the nature of this Absolute towards which our destiny is taking us? And that is Brahman. So in this chapter, these aspects of Brahman will be described by Sri Krishna himself. The first verse begins, Bhagavan Uvacha, Maya Sakta Manaha Partha, Yogam Yunjan Madashrayah, Asamshayam Samagram Mam, Yatha Nyasyasi Tachrunu. Having a mind attached to me, O Partha, joined unitively through yoga, and having me as ashraya, refuge. So Maya Asakta Manaha Partha. Asakta means to attach, to join the mind to the Lord. This is the basic requirement. If you want to learn wisdom or if you want to be enlightened, the basic requirement is that your mind should be attached to the Lord, taking the refuge of the Lord, by which the knowledge of the Lord will be given to you through the grace. There is a bipolarity. So one side you take refuge, ashraya, and you make a conscious effort to unite yourself. And from the opposite side, the invisible hand comes and your grace is established. Second verse he says, Jnanam teaham savijnanam idam vakshami aseshatah yajñatva ne iha bhuyo anyad jnatavyam avasishyate. So again, as we said, pure knowledge and applied knowledge. Once you have these two aspects, there is nothing more to know. Knowing Brahma Vidya, everything else becomes known. Such is the secret of Brahma Vidya. It is the source from which all knowledge comes. So once you know Brahma Vidya, you find you can understand all other subjects on earth. The wise person knows what to do in every situation. That is the application. So Vijnana comprises merely existential aspects of reality. That is apara prakriti. So we have a higher nature, that is para, and then there is the things of the world, that is called apara, the lower nature. So I shall teach you this pure wisdom, that is jnanam, together with its applied knowledge, that is vijnanam, without omission, knowing which nothing more here is left to be known. Third verse, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschid mam veti tatvatah. People are interested in wisdom in different ways. So we perform religion, or we do good works, or we have degrees and variations, all with one goal in mind, that we become wiser people, knowledgeable people. So in this particular verse you find that the word used is veti. Veti comes from the root vid, to know. So the emphasis is on knowledge. What saves us ultimately is knowledge, tattvataha. The tattva means the philosophical knowledge, knowledge according to proper principles. Full philosophical import of the Absolute, that has to be understood. Then a person can consider himself truly wise. Among thousands of men, one perchance strives for perfection. Even among the striving who have attained, one perchance knows me according to proper principles. So it is rare. Among thousands of men, one strives for perfection. That itself is a small number. And even among those who are striving, one perchance knows me according to proper principles. So it is definitely difficult and rare. The knower of the Absolute is a rare person. Now he goes on to describe the various aspects of the lower nature. Bhumir apo analo vayuhu kham mano buddhirevacha ahamkara iti ayam me bhinna prakritir ashtadha. So this lower nature, or this prakriti that we experience through our senses, is divided into 8 categories. Starting from the most gross. Bhumi means the earth. Bhumi, apo, analo, vayuhu. Ascending order. Apo is water. Anala has fire. Vayu, air. Kham is space. These are outside. And then within us, man, buddhi and ahankara. So the inner functions of the mind are also part of nature, subtle nature. So this whole complex, 8-fold division, this belongs to Prakriti. This method is called ascending dialectics. That is, we start with the most gross and we go to the most fine. And that is the consciousness within us, the nature that is operating within us as man, buddhi and ahankar. These are called apara, or you can consider this as the lower aspect of nature. Nature has been divided, or the Absolute is divided into 2 aspects, para and apara. Apara iyam itastva inyam prakritir vidhi me param jiva bhutanam mahabaho yaya edam dharayate jagat. So of these 2 aspects, you have the jiva bhuta, that which is constituting life, that element which is making the life principle in us, in all beings. That is sustaining this phenomenal world. That is called the higher self. That is his transcendental self. His non-transcendental self is the 8-fold division. And his transcendental self is the life principle that is operating from within. Know the other to be my nature, which is transcendental. That is param. This is apara. And it constitutes life by which this phenomenal world is sustained. Etad yonini bhutani sarvani iti upadharaya aham kritsnasya jagatah prabhavah pralayas tatha. So this world that we see has its source in the Absolute. Yoni. Yoni means the source. So he says, know that all beings have this as their common source. I am the becoming as well as the dissolution of this phenomenal world. Sweeping statement, he says, that this whole world has come from the Lord or the Absolute or from Brahman, and it will in the end be absorbed back into Brahman. All beings have this as their common source. So we have a common origin, and that is a divine origin. And in the end we are all absorbed back into the Absolute. Mattah parataram nanyat. So in case you want to think of anything higher, there is nothing higher than the Lord. Mattah parataram nanyat. Nanyat kinchit means nothing else. Kinchid asti dhananjaya. Mayi sarvam idam proktam sutre manigana iva. Manigana is a necklace. Just like you have a necklace with many pearls or other valuable stones strung with a string in the middle. So our world is also constituted of clusters of values, from the most humble values to very sublime values, powerful values, from worldly values to spiritual values. So all these clusters of values, in the middle of it, like a string that is threading them all together, is the Lord. He is the common factor or the integrating or the uniting principle in everything that we see diverse in this world. Yet in the middle of it all, in the center, as the essence of it all, is the Lord. Anything earthly, human or even celestial, all values, in the essence of it is the Lord. Nothing else is higher than me, O winner of wealth. In me all this is strung as a classified series of precious beads on a string. Number 8. So now he is giving us an elaboration of all the various categories, so to speak. Raso aham apsu kaunteya. Rasa, that is the taste. Aham apsu kaunteya. Water is responsible for giving us taste. So that quality of water is considered absolute. Lord said He is the one who gives that taste in water. Prabhasmi Sashi Surya Yoho. Then one step higher to the principle of light. So He is the one who is the principle of light behind both Shashi and Surya. Shashi means the moon and Surya is the sun. The moon is not a bright luminary, sun is a bright luminary. So it is not the intensity of light which matters, but the principle of light. Behind that is the Lord. Pranavaha sarva bhuteshu, shabdaha ke paurusham rishu. And then one step further to sound. Pranavaha is Om of Vedas. The essence of all the Vedas is Om, that is called Shabda Brahma. So He is the Shabda also. Behind all the Vedic mantras, you have the Lord. So I am the taste in waters, O Kaunteya, O son of Kunti. I am the light in the moon and the sun. I am Om in all the Vedas, sound in the sky, and the human quality in men. That is the Paurusham Drishu. This is 9th. Punyo Gandha Prithivyanam cha Tejascha Asmi Vibhavasau Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu Tapascha Asmi Tapashvisu. Fragrance of the earth, divinity, and also the brilliance of the luminary presence, the vital principle in all beings and the essence of all austerity in all ascetics. So here the earth is considered to have its punya gandha, the fragrance. The sense of smell comes from the quality of earth. So that is called the punya gandha, because the earth itself is considered as a divine being. Just like in Greek mythology, you have the idea of Gaia, goddess, Mother Earth, and in Roman mythology you have Tilas. So similarly here too we say punyo gandha prithivyanam tejas chasmi vibhavasau. Vibhavasau is the luminary principle. Vibhavasau is also the sun. So that principle of luminosity, behind that is the Lord. Jivanam sarva bhuteshu, that is the vital principle. Jivanam, the principle of life in all beings, which you can consider as the vital urge that is keeping us going. Tapas chasmi tapasvishu. And the ascetics who are controlling their ego, their mind, their reason, and they are subduing it and turning it inward, they are the best representatives of the Absolute. He says, I am the essence of all the tapasya, of the tapasvis. Bijam mam sarva bhutanam vidhi partha sanatanam buddhir buddhimatam asmi tejas tejasvinam aham. So he is the unexpended perennial seed, sanatana bija. So there is no duration associated with the growing seed. When you say sanatan, it's beyond duration. I am the reason of the intelligent and the brightness of those who are the brilliant. Balam balavatam cha aham kamaraga vivarjitam dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamo asmi bharatarshabha. Though we start with the dualism, always the scheme of the Gita is to reconcile the dualism and bring it to unitive thinking, because it's a book of Vedanta. Vedanta does not allow dualism. Sankhya and Yoga, these schools of thought, they allowed dualism. But Vedanta always cancels out the dualism to make ultimately one principle. So here too we say, I am the strength of the strong, devoid of desire and passion. In beings I am desire which is not contrary to righteousness. So this is a unique aspect of the Gita, where even desire, if it is not opposed to righteousness, if it is with dharma, then even desire is a quality of the divine. Usually desire is considered to be against spiritual life. Especially the Buddhist thinkers, they have always condemned desire. Desire is the cause of rebirth, desire is the cause of bondage. But here the Gita says desire which is not contrary to righteousness is okay. Religion in Gita loses its heavy negative character. Gita gives us a revalued vision of religion. It removes many of the negative aspects of religion. Dharma viruddha. Dharma means the social principle. If you are not against social principles, then desire is accepted. Ye cha eva satvika bhava rajas tamasascha ye matta eva iti tan vidhi natva aham teshu temayi. So even those manifestations recognized as according with existence and active or dominant and dark or inert, know them even to be my own. I am not in them, but they are in me. Whatever comes under the sway of the gunas, that is dominant, dark or inert, sattva, rajas and tamas, know them even to be my own. And I am not in them, but they are in me. So this is like the waves and the ocean. The waves are in the ocean, but the ocean is not necessarily in the waves. So similarly, everything we see here is depending or is resting on the Lord. God need not depend on the existence, but the existence depends on Him. Tribhair gunamair bhavair ebhi sarvam idam jagat mohitam na abhijanati mam ebhyah param avyayam. So this three gunas or distinctions between relative values and absolute values is radical. One does not lead to the other in a graded way. It's like 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. It's an absolute thing. You can't have any other way. Or if there is light, then there is no darkness. If there is darkness, there is no light. So similarly, this distinction between this relative and the absolute is like that. If your thinking is relative, then you can't have the absolute there. When your thinking has taken absolutism, then you will not tolerate relative values. They are mutually not inclusive, they are exclusive. Tribhir gunamair bhavair ebhai sarvam idam jagat. People are deluded by these three manifestations of value. That is because of the gunas. Mohitam na abhijanati mam ebhyah param avyayam. Because of this, people don't understand his param avyayam, his nature, which is beyond and unexpended. Avyayam means that which can never be used up, which can never be exhausted. And param means that which is beyond. So we have two sets of values, as we said. One is our existence that we see, our day-to-day life that we are experiencing. And the other is the divine factor, which is beyond and unexpended. This is part of the changing world. We are undergoing constant transformations and everything is undergoing changes. And there is beginnings and ends. There are creations and destructions. The cyclic thing goes on and on and on. But at the other level is the param and avyayam, never expended, never exhausted, never decreasing. And that is the eternal principle. But so powerful is this creation of the gunas that people get deluded by it. Mohitam. Mohitam means delusion that is created by these three gunas. That people cannot see the absolute nature on the param nature, non-decreasing nature of the absolute or of God. If you look at it theistically here, you say Krishna. If you look at it philosophically, you say absolute. Both are interchangeable. Krishna becomes a representative of the absolute. Illusion is to be transcended before attaining the absolute. Therefore, this illusion has to be transcended. How do you transcend the illusion? You transcend the illusion by knowledge of the absolute, by pondering over and by discriminating and by sharpening the mind and watching the paradox that is the world. The world has a paradoxical aspect, and understanding the paradox, you can go above it. Verily, this divine illusion of mind made up of the manifestations of value is hard to surmount. Those who seek me alone pass over this illusion. So there has to be this bipolarity created. When you say God, or the absolute principle, which first you make the normative notion that that is beyond illusion, that is the eternal, and yourself here, and then you make your bipolar relationship, and then you start pondering in a contemplative way. Since this is the 7th chapter now, we have passed the level of dhyana yoga where we are taught how to contemplate, how to draw the mind again inwards, how to train the senses, and how to subdue the egoistic and other tendencies of the mind which are making it always go outward. So once that is done, it is possible to see or possible to apprehend the absolute. So the penetration comes. In Isavasya Upanishad, the analogy is of the sun. It's like a golden disc which is covering the truth. And we can't see the sun because of its own brightness. Similarly, we can't see the Lord because of His own illusion that He creates. He creates such a wonderful scenery and such a wonderful thing around us that we can't see Him Himself who is behind it all, unless we have contemplative discipline. Verily, this divine illusion of mind made up of manifestations of value is hard to surmount. But those who seek me alone pass over this illusion. So he says one-pointedness, ekagrita and ekantika bhakti, etc., where you make the mind one-pointed. Start seeking the Lord, then it's easy to pass over the illusion. 15. Namam dushkrito mudhaha prapadyante naradhamaha mayaya apahrita jnana asuram bhavam asritaha. So those who turn away from this contemplative value, they come under the promptings of action rather than interest in wisdom. So they are not interested in wisdom, they are more interested in the activity of life. So naturally they turn away from contemplative values. And when they move away, they get distracted by illusion, affiliated as they are to the demonic or non-intelligent aspect of nature. So then they are still in the throes of the nature. So he has been using harsh words here. He says, foolish evildoers, lowest among men. Dushkritano mudhaha. This being a book on contemplation and philosophy, wisdom, it negates or it discredits all the other values which go against contemplation or which go against wisdom. And activism is one of the main things which goes against wisdom. So being active as a contemplative, yes, but just being purely active for the sake of action, that will take you away from the world of wisdom. Turning now into those who are affiliated. Chaturvidha bhajante mam. But those who are affiliated fall into four groups. Chaturvidha bhajante mam janaha sukrito narjuna. Of the good people who are affiliated to God, you find there are four types. Artho jignasur artharthi jnanicha bharatarshabha. So sukritano, good doing people. So they are artaha, those who are distressed and they are interested in relief from suffering, so they are affiliated to God. Jignasu is the seeker of knowledge. So he is suffering from ignorance. He is sensing the bondage of ignorance, does not know, and that lack of knowledge is causing him suffering. So you say that is the seeker of knowledge. Then there is the artharthi, the seeker of goods. So after these two have been removed, after a person's suffering is removed and after a person's ignorance is removed, then a person is interested in the goods of life, the good things of life. So those are the artharthis. And finally the jnanis, or the wise. So among doers of good, four kinds are intent on me: the distressed, the seeker of knowledge, the seeker of the goods of life, and the wise. So of these four, the wise is considered the most superior. Of these, the wise man, forever united and unitively affiliated with the Absolute, excels, for dear to the utmost limit am I to the wise one, and he is dear to me. For the wise one, there is a bipolar relationship. The Lord also is very happy with the wise person, and a wise person is dearly affiliated with the Lord. He says, this is the only value for which I live. So down the ages from around the world, you have wise people saying, that is the greatest pursuit in life, to gain wisdom. The greatest wealth you can have is to become a wise person. Tesham jnani nitya yukta, because the jnani is eternally conjoined. It's a nitya yukta. All the others have got some distractions or some other factors in their bipolarity or affiliation with the Lord. But the jnani is eternally united and steadfast. So he is the most dear. There is no superiority or inferiority. So there becomes an equality of status. So such a person gains a kind of equality with the Supreme. There is no more sense of a supplicant being inferior or the Lord being superior. Uddaraha sarva evaite. All of them are honorable, but my firm opinion is that the wise one is the self itself. Same verity in terms of the self, meaning Atma eva. So he is the Atma itself. He of unitively established self indeed remains in my path, which is nothing higher. So the Gita praises this path of wisdom as the highest. Nothing can be higher than walking on the path of wisdom, unitively affiliated with the Absolute and gaining that status. Bahunam janmanam ante. It is after many, many births that such a person is born. Jnanavan mam prapadyante. Only after many, many births does a wise man attain me. Such a great self, thinking Vasudeva to be all, is rare indeed to find. So though we are reading about it, in actual life it is really rare to find such a jnani, unitively affiliated jnani. So they say once in 1,000 years you will find such a jnani, will be found amongst men or amongst the people. So it is produced by long experience. Durlabha is rare, and after many lifetimes, so it means a great deal of experience goes into the creation of a wise person. Then we come to 20. where he says, their wisdom distracted by such or such other desires, counterparts, they attain to other divinities, committed to various obligations belonging to each, prompted by their own particular nature in each case. The next 5 verses refer to the subtle dialectical relations between the spiritual aspirant and the object of the adoration. All of us who aspire, we have an object of aspiration. And there is a subtle relationship between the object of adoration, that whom we are adoring or what we are observing, and the person who is adoring. So here these verses are referring to this subtle dialectical relationship. It's a two-way relationship. So it's a dialectical. True wisdom is dispassionate, interested only in higher value. Even joy element in sense pleasures finally belongs to Absolute. So this is the realization that everything that we experience here, where does it belong to? Who does it belong to? It all belongs to the Absolute. And once that realization comes or that understanding comes, you say all the values of life get directed into one master interest or master channel. By whatever particular form such and such a devotee with faith wishes to worship, each to his own faith I confirm. The bipolar nature of spiritual seeking and the context of ideal worship. So this is another departure where the Gita gives you a freedom to choose your own form of worship. As long as you have faith and as long as you have devotion, that faith will be strengthened and will be confirmed by the Lord. So He does not restrict you to any particular way. And that is the beauty of the Gita. It says, whichever way you follow it, but follow it with faith and follow it with devotion, and I shall confirm it to you. He endowed with faith seeks the worship of such a one, and from him obtains his desires, the benefits being decreed by me. So it refers to objects, the benefits refer to subject. So here desires means the object, and the benefits is the subject. Subject feels benefited, and the desire is for an object. Everything that we have here has been decreed by the Lord, whether we accept it or not. Krishna here says, all the desires and benefits are decreed by me. Antavattu phalam tesham tad bhavatya alpamedhasam devan deva yajo yanti madbhaktah yanti mamapi. Gita permits relativistic worship while making clear how inferior a place it has. We have been discussing the absolutist worship, where we are trying to merge with the Absolute, or we are beginning to see the higher self or the eternal and able to transcend or pierce the illusion. If you don't do that, then you fall into the next category, which is called relativistic worship, where you have particular desires and looking for benefits and you're worshipping a deity. Gita accepts that as well, but points out that that is inferior. In this verse, he says, terminable indeed is the benefits accruing to these of small intelligence. Sacrifices of the divinities, go to the divinities, but my devotees come to me. So he doesn't say do it or don't do it, but he just says this is what will happen. If you follow the small deities, you will go to that kind of a benefit. Whereas if you worship me in an absolute sense, you will come to me. Avyaktam vyaktam apannam manyante mam abuddhayah. So absolute is beyond all predication. So we can't say it is this or that, say neither this nor that. We cannot give any name to it, the highest absolute. In the Mandukya Upanishad, it is described as achintayam, that which is beyond thought, alakshanam, which has no distinguishing mark. Unreasoning persons consider me as the unmanifest come to manifestation, not knowing my supreme value, unexpended with no superior. So that is the whole problem with the person who does not have the superior reasoning power. So he thinks that this is referring to Krishna with a form, that unmanifested has come for manifestation. So he limits yourself to the manifested form. But you forget that his supreme value is unexpended with no superior. I am not revealed brightly to all, shrouded as I am by the elusive effect of negative reality. That is the Maya. Just like light casts its shadow, the Absolute has its own negative quality called Maya, and that deludes, blocks the thinking of those who are not bright enough. This deluded world does not know me, unborn and unexpended. And then he goes on to say, I know the things that are past, present and to come, O Arjuna. but no one knows me. This is again showing the transcendental nature. God has no restrictions of time. He is beyond time, beyond space. So when we are in the manifested world, we come under the sway of time. And time takes on the threefold divisions. We divide time into the past and we think of the future. But Krishna says he is beyond. So he has no such restrictions of time, and therefore he is able to see the things in the past and beings in the present, past and to come. But no one knows me. But our minds cannot grasp that mind. Our minds are it's a limited mind. Our mind cannot understand that transcendental aspect of the Lord. From the delusion of the pairs of opposites arising from attraction and repulsion, O Bharata, all beings on being created are subject to confusion of values. So there is a duality, as we say, this world is made up of duality. If there was only light, we could not see. If there was only darkness, we cannot see. But when darkness and light commingle, we get shades, and with shades we can distinguish forms, and we are able to create this world. Similarly with all values, good and evil, right and wrong, all these opposites must come counterpoised one against the other, and from that we get this world. But it also creates a delusion, and attraction and repulsion comes. When the mind is caught in this attraction and repulsions, then you cannot see. The mind is not able to grasp the subtler aspects. That is why first aspects of yoga is to harmonize the mind, make it balanced in all conditions. And in that balanced state of mind, we are able to perceive the state of the divine more clearly. All beings on being created are subject to confusion of values. That is why we say we need a rebirth, or we need a second birth. Dvija. The Pandit is called a Dvija, the twice born. Why? One is our biological birth, and the second birth we need is a birth into wisdom values, to be taught and to be trained and to be disciplined and to learn. That is like a second birth into wisdom. Then our eyes open, then we say, now we know, now we understand. Now the truth is revealed to us. But those persons of pure deeds whose sin has come to an end, freed from the conflict of pairs of opposites, adore me with a firm resolve. So this is the other aspect. So far we are talking about all the difficulties, but those who are ones of pure deeds, their sins have come to an end, papam, freed from the conflict of pairs of opposites, they adore me with a firm resolve. Those who resorting to me strive for liberation from decay and death, they know that the Absolute, all that constitutes self-knowledge, and everything pertaining to ritualistic action. Those who know me taking together what refers to existential, hypostatic and sacrificial aspects, they know me in the unitive spirit, even at the time of their departure. So this chapter ends with a reference to the time of departure, parantagati, eschatology. So the Gita, among its several topics, it also deals with eschatology. Eschatology means what happens to a person after death. So spirituality, which includes eschatology and matter, this is a spirituality which includes the eschatological aspects, and that will be discussed in the next chapter. So these last two verses are preparing us to go into the next chapter, Akshara Brahma Yoga. So that is the stream of spirituality brought into a converging current. So that is the whole thrust of life brought to its final point, and that is knowing the Absolute, merging with the Absolute. So this decay and death, the striving to liberate a person from decay and death, know that the Absolute and all that constitutes self-knowledge and everything pertaining to ritualistic action, that is Adhi Bhuta, Adhi Daivam and Adhi Yajnam. This aspect is clarified further in the next chapter. These are the three aspects, that is the existential, hypostatic. Hypostatic means that which is referring to the Devatas and the Devas. Sacrificial aspect is the yajnas that we perform. And the existential aspect is where you can perform your actions or your karmas. So it's a sweeping revaluation from all the different streams that we have. They are all brought together into one master current, and they are all made to lead to the Absolute. And that is what the object of the Gita is also, to string the various different kinds of practices and to take them all into the Vedantic way or the absolutist way. From relativism to take you into absolutism and lead you to liberation. This is a moksha shastra. So Gita is considered as a text for moksha. And so it will tell you both the aspects of life. The relativistic aspect, what are its characteristics, what are its limitations, and the absolutist aspect, and what are its difficulties and what are its gains. So that is the final goal. And how do we get there? We have to establish a bipolar relationship with the absolute. Bipolar means one side you have placed yourself as a person, and on the other side, in your mind, you postulate the absolute. You have a normative notion. How do you get the normative notion? You get the normative notion by what the Gita tells you about the nature of the absolute. Unexpended, avyayam, and it is a cause from which everything comes. So that is how we make the normative notion. And then by relating ourselves to that, you begin to see through what is known as an illusion, the illusion of the manifested world. So this is the scheme of the Gita. And as we are entering into the center portion, or the middle, you will see that the teaching becomes more and more sublime, more and more absolutist. In the next chapter it will talk more about Akshara Brahma. Akshara means that which never can be destroyed, non-decreasing. Kshara means that which is perishing. Akshara means the imperishable absolute. So it will take you one step further to imperishable absolute. And after the 9th chapter you will find yourself coming back slowly to more and more normal, natural, human values. And we started with also just human values of Arjuna on the battlefield, full of conflict. Then we spoke about karma, then we speak about jnana, then we speak about karma sannyasa, and then we resolve karma. We are shown how we can treat the karma aspect. Then we go into dhyana, and from dhyana we come into jnana vijnana into akshara brahma. So like that, step by step we are rising to more and more subtle, more and more deep, more and more philosophical, and therefore consequently more and more difficult, almost impossible aspects of the spiritual search. In the 9th chapter he says, Man mana bhava, become one with me. So we are taken right to that level, to that very status where you are uniting with the Lord. See, Advaita means non-dualism. It does not permit two. It does not permit you as a separate entity and the Absolute as separate. It will seek to unite. It will seek to cancel out all the contradictions and show you that essentially we are one. So this is the contribution of Vedanta. And the same Vedantic ideas have been brought here in the Gita. And all the various systems we have a Vedic lifestyle, we have a yogic lifestyle, we have action and rituals, and we have the philosophical schools. They are all brought here in the Gita, one by one, and they are united into one stream of thought, which is leading you to the absolutist way of thinking. So we start from wherever we are, and gradually we start moving in this direction, thinking in these lines, and you find one day, if you practiced it correctly, it leads you. Moksha means it will liberate you. It liberates you from any kind of suffering, pain, delusion, or misery, all the negative aspects of life. So they say there is a negative aspect in life caused by the ignorance, it's caused by delusion, caused by not knowing the essential reality, and that can only be corrected by knowledge. So when we say devotion by itself without knowledge will not be of much use. So devotion, faith, and then it has to become enriched with knowledge. They have to go together, and actions too. So that is what will be further discussed. So this is what he says, Brahma Vidya means complete knowledge, and there is nothing outside this knowledge. This is all inclusive. Every field or every branch of thinking or knowledge that we have can come into this jnana vijnana.